In the backyard of civilization, left by destiny without any hope, you'll find this house on the hill. That's Share, an indie first-person horror/action game with a lack of action and lack of game. It's also lacking good narrative, and the horror is also on the weak side. It's an extremely empty sandbox, and sure, it's only $5, but when you have games like Downwell that's for sale for even lower, it being cheap doesn't really make up for an empty generic experience. It's a game that feels like it was put together with no real direction. You take the role of a man in yellow who decides to take the scenic route to who knows where. As you drive up the hill, you notice a mounted turret. It catches you so off guard that you crash into a tree. A very anticlimactic crash at that. You wake up alive and well and not a single scratch on your vehicle, but for some reason it's totaled and unusable. But don't fret. There's a convenient house right next to you. It's a clearly livable environment with no obvious residents. So you decide to explore the unlocked house as a means to maybe get your car fixed. You realize the house is empty but not abandoned, so you decide to raid it. Cause that's our first instinct, right? This guy can't even open doors right. Yet you're scrounging through drawers filled with absolutely nothing and a fridge filled with nothing but a single banana. Guess someone needed their potassium chilled. Eventually you find a key that opens the door to the garage. Also, there's clear evidence that this house is definitely inhabited because there's just a dog chilling in his little doghouse, but he doesn't really seem to like where he's at. As you open the door to the garage, this is where the game becomes a stress-filled hassle. It took me almost 20 minutes to figure out exactly what to do. 20 minutes of losing my mind. I questioned my purchase, my interest in horror games, my lack of patience to the point that I needed to watch a walkthrough. How was I supposed to know you could just walk through the fence using the terrible terrain that looks like it'd be an invisible wall? And don't get me started on powering the windmill and climbing up the god-awful ladder. There's just so much wrong with this game that it's really hard to recommend it to anyone. It's just lack of anything. There was a point that I walked to the edge of the map to get murdered by the mysterious color change. It's just a jump scare fest with the lack of actual fear. The only thing this game gets right is how horrible it is to get stranded with absolutely no direction. Which I'll give it some brownie points for that, but this is nowhere near a horror game. This is a badly paced attempt on a survival horror. A mediocre take on being stranded in the woods with crazy people around you. A game without build-up and a game with no drive to proceed forward. A simply unpolished waste of time. And that's disappointing to see in a horror game. Hopefully the next project HFM takes will be an improvement on this one.